Welcome to your Thursday, October 9th edition of Irish Illustrated Insider. I'm Tim O'Malley, joined by Tim Priester of Irish Illustrated, Pete Sampson of The Athletic, and John Bryce of Football Scoop. Hopefully a few handfuls of loyal listeners across the nation, guys. And North Carolina State, now a 23.5-point underdog,
Oof.
making it a tough line on which to wager if you think the Wolfpack have a chance, even for three quarters. Before we break down this game, though, we should touch on Marcus Freeman's 12 minutes with the local media via Zoom. Pete Sampson, I think the news of Jaden Greathouse being out instead of questionable with a thigh injury, not part of the podcast, but part of the press release. I did not expect an official out on Thursdays.
No, that was surprising to me as well. For something that was questionable last weekend, to go to out was a bit surprising. So, and I guess he was frankly out
Yeah,
pregame last week, but still, that it's not a deep receiver room at all. They've got four. They had four really, really, really good receivers, I thought. Now they have three. So it's like, I think you're fine without Greathouse. It's like if you lost another guy, then sort of stuff starts to break down maybe a little bit. But yeah, it's a frustrating season continues for Jaden Greathouse for sure.
you also don't have a tight end other than Eli Raridan you go to if you do lose another receiver. You have to make sure a fifth receiver. Right now, it's clearly Micah Gilbert would be the one they would go to. TP. I don't think you can argue KK Smith is ahead of Micah Gilbert in any role.
No, he got a little run last week, but you talk about Greathouse. I mean, a vast majority of his career has been frustrating. I know we have a question about him in the second segment. We'll deal with it then. But yeah, Pete, you're right. I mean, it's not real deep right now. Things look great when Carr's throwing the ball on the fingertips all the time and everybody's, catching passes, not dropping passes, and everything's efficient, but it just takes one play for one player, or, maybe two players in a game or something. Now you're in a bit of trouble. But yeah, the Greathouse thing, I mean, being out, could this have evolved in beyond injury, or what are we talking about here?
Well, you have to ask it because it's game four. He's played game four. He hasn't played game five. So obviously that's a possibility. I did ask Mike Brown specifically about Greathouse and frustrations, and he, I was surprised that wasn't maybe the lead, and he was obviously ready for it. But he said, of course, he's frustrated, but he's been a great teammate about everything. He had he's not going to speak for Jaden Greathouse in this situation. I'm sure that if Jaden Greathouse had a conversation about his role after game four, entering game five, I can't imagine Mike Brown, Mike Denbrock, Dino Gaduli, Marcus Freeman, anyone saying, we don't care what you do. So if there was a conversation, they definitely would have encouraged him to stay. Sometimes the conversations are like, yeah, if you're feeling that way, then see ya. That's what a lot of the that's what a lot of the
he wouldn't be one of those players that you would say that to.
I don't think, no, he would not be. Like Joe Wilkins, you valued him, and Joe Wilkins said, I'm going to go into the transfer portal during the season. They're probably like, all right, well, we really appreciate it, and if you're going to do that, you can't be on the team anymore. I mean, there's like, Pete, you know how these things go. If they don't want you at all, they're not going to try to talk you into it. They're going to say, I understand your point. Like, I'm sure they tried to talk Jacob Lacey back in because they had no depth, and Jacob Lacey was obviously defensive tackle number 2.
Yeah, Jaden Greathouse is not in that group.
No.
So yeah, that's you would think that he would, especially, I mean, a year from now, like there's no Will Pauling anymore. There's no Malachi Fields anymore. You would think that Jaden Greathouse is 2026 would be really significant with CJ Carr throwing him the ball. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just, I don't know how I've gotten this question a lot from fans this week about like, what's up with Greathouse? Is that going anywhere weird? And like, I haven't heard anything to make me think that it is. But it is certainly something to at least keep an eye on.
Yeah. JB, what do you know about this?
Yeah, I was just going to say the timing of it raises these questions inevitably. You can't help it. It's the era of college athletics that we're in, particularly as it pertains to college football. Like I shared the other day, I'll reiterate again because I've had even additional people tell me he literally hurt the quad or the hamstring on the last play of like last Thursday's practice. So not only was I told it was the last period of practice, but that he tweaked it the last play of practice. And if you noticed, he was with his teammates pregame Saturday. He
With
was
recruits too. I thought that was kind of relevant. He was with
yeah, there you go.
recruits. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you saw that. I did not see
Yeah.
that. I knew he was with his teammates. I had seen that. So I'm entering the field with his teammates. It was emphasized to me like, look, if there was grave concern that he was checked out, you wouldn't see this type of body language or participation from him. And Mickey wasn't on the sidelines once he declared that he was leaving. He was sitting in the student section if he came to games, or he was not there at all. So, and I would also further note that Jaden Greathouse already once has withstood being offered more money than I could probably. I probably wouldn't withstand that kind of offer that Jaden Greathouse got earlier this year after he was the second best wideout in all of the college football playoffs. He had a number of suitors come after him, is my understanding, including someone that was on this year's Notre Dame schedule that I think offered him a seven-figure deal, I was told. So, a hamstring is a tough thing, or a quad is a tough thing to deal with, as we're seeing with Noah Burnett. But like Pete said, I haven't had anybody tell me like this is not a real injury. This is cover a smoke screen for something else that's going on, and they're trying to talk him out of it. I haven't had that indicated, and I've tried to check pretty diligently on it from Hawaii at the end of last week, going all through the weekend, and over the course of this week being back on the mainland.
Maybe the best way to say it, I mean, since the frustration was acknowledged to him by Mike Brown, that there was the frustration, and then he tweaked his hamstring.
Oh
on
yeah, that's
Thursday.
a great point. I mean, you could be frustrated and get hurt. It's not like you're just fine. You could be frustrated practicing hard and get hurt.
This is a spin on it's always both.
Yeah. And I'll just use this as a shameless segue to note. I just finished asking Marcus Freeman about his thoughts on the potential of the NCAA moving to a 5-for-5, and that is 5 years to play 5 seasons for all college athletes and eliminating the red shirt. And Marcus Freeman said he thinks it's a great thing, and specifically because it eliminates any doubt for the player and it eliminates any doubt for the coaches. So I'll have more on that on Football Scoop in the coming
JB, does that, it just occurred to me, does that then eliminate a 6-year completely?
That's yet to be determined, TP.
Okay.
That's a good question. You could potentially get a medical red shirt, I believe, if it passes, but you would have to have played 4 or fewer games to get that medical red shirt.
I was going to say, you can't start playing 75 games after then get a medical red shirt, right?
Yeah,
okay, so,
yeah.
so the
It's
old
not
rules
like the COVID year. It's not like the COVID year where no matter how much you played, you got an extra year.
And it could go to the old punitive thing of I don't think you could get a medical red shirt because you played 4 games with 1 in September, 1 in October, and 2 in November, and then said I got hurt on Thanksgiving weekend.
Correct. Yeah, the calendar would come back into play, is my understanding. Again, that has not been voted on, but it's being more and more broadly discussed. I've talked about it this week with conference level commissioner type people, and I've talked about it with GMs all over the sport. And as I previously indicated, like that measure, the 5-for-5, has universal support among college football coaches. I have the email that the AFCA is sending out or has sent out to college coaches that discusses it.
Yeah, JB.
Go ahead, Tim.
Well, JB asked Marcus Freeman about it, and he said exactly what you would expect a head coach to say, that not having to worry about, can we play this guy this week, or 1 game or 4 games, or I mean, you could understand why coaches would absolutely love the 5-for-5 rule. So
yeah, the Howard Cross mistake almost cost Notre Dame a potential trip to the championship last year, because that was a massive deal.
For a program that lives off grad transfers and not undergrad transfers, this is like one of the great rule changes of all time for Notre Dame football. Because with the COVID exemption going away, I think the number of available grad transfers was going to fall off a cliff for Notre Dame. This makes it as good as it's ever been. So the 5-for-5 would be a major, major win for Notre Dame in a way that it's not for other schools, because Notre Dame is not, lining up the bus for undergrad transfers.
Speaking of graduate transfers, Noah Burnett is probably going to be the kicker this week, unless he is not. That's the news we got from Mark Freeman. As of now, it looks like it's Noah Burnett. But I guess he's healthy enough to be the guy named as of this moment, Tim.
The decision was supposed to be made Wednesday, wasn't that? We're just joking with them, but yeah, I asked directly. That was the first question of the gathering with him, and he said he believes it will be no Burnett will kick today, and presumably if he handles that well, he is the kicker, but that's the plan. And then, Eric Schmidt is probably longer field goals if Burnett can't kick, and Marcello Diametti is the shorter distance. I don't know, maybe a little bit more accurate overall from shorter distances. I don't know. It's still pretty open ended, but the idea
I
is,
know.
I took it like Marcus was saying. We were, whether Noah goes or not, we're planning on having Eric Schmidt as our longer kicker. It just
okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's
it
Oh,
good.
yeah.
depends on
Yeah.
the range.
Yeah.
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 I
And
think
that makes sense.
I think what Marcus was trying to say was weird day to day, and then again, aren't we all? So that's how that goes.
Kicker, I think he is a kick to kick.
He is kick to kick. Yeah, he is a
I mean,
kick
I
to
think
kick kicker. You're right.
where we are with Burnett is not a good place to be. Like Notre Dame hasn't even attempted a field goal of 40 yards or longer this year. I wouldn't expect that to change.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have a pretty prolific offense, so you don't necessarily have to do that very often.
As long as I don't get into a 4th-and-1 situation.
We have a question on that coming up. All right, we're getting into our North Carolina State preview in segment 1. 23.5, guys. I did not expect it to go up. I expected it to go down because 22.5 was just an odd line in the first place. So I checked back. All I could find was 17.5 in August for this one. That was not one of the original games of the year. Looking back at the games of the year, by the way, Arkansas was 12.5 in August, and you could bet at 4.
Wow.
Game week. Boy, 12.5 is correct. I guess we all should have got to learn to jump on those June lines. Those are pretty good, man. But
I think I didn't realize it had gone up to 23.5. The only thing it can possibly be is Notre Dame's looking like a prolific offense going against a defense that's so beaten up and can't stop the run and can't get to the quarterback and can't defensively. It's the people with the money that are saying Notre Dame's going to score a whole bunch of points. I think this is a 500-yard game for Notre Dame. I would be surprised unless you have turnovers and, some crazy things that happen, short fields or something that don't give you a chance to go 75 yards. This is an all-you-can-eat game for Notre Dame's offense.
Yeah, look, Virginia had like 515 yards of total offense and 31 points, and they left a boatload of stuff out on the field. And I think when you look at the NC State schedule, at bare minimum, the Notre Dame offense is incredibly comparable to the Virginia offense, and I think we would all rate it a tick above the Virginia offense. And I would also note that I think, with the exception of the FCS opponent that the Wolfpack played last weekend, Braxton Harris's Campbell squad, they've given up an average of well over 400 yards to every FBS team that they have played.
Flip side, they do have an offense. In fact, there is one certain spot where this is worse for Notre Dame early, but we're through 5 games. North Carolina State is 4th in the country in 10-yard passing games. Notre Dame is 125th or 117th in giving up 10-yard passing games, which is not something you're used to. Now, Notre Dame doesn't give up a lot over 30, which is key. As Pete and I have talked about a lot, Notre Dame's offense is becoming very prolific in the 20-yard chunk gains through the pass. I think that's one of the more important stats for a balanced offense. Notre Dame can withstand 10-yard pass gains, Pete Sampson, but when you're starting up to 20 and 30, that's when this turns into a 500-yard showcase for Notre Dame into a 900-yard showcase for the game.
Yeah, and I think that figuring out, all right, how much better is the defense or the secondary in particular over the last 3? Like, I get it, they're not defending Mario Craver and Concepcion and Malachi Tony anymore, but yards after catch allowed, they've cut that in half from those first 2 games. Defensive backs missed missed 12 tackles against Miami and A&M. They've missed 6 total in the 3 games since. Again, much easier to tackle me and you than Jerry Rice and Randy Moss.
Yes,
but
that's what the comparison is.
they're playing better, and there's I like Hollywood Smothers for reasons beyond his awesome name, but there's not you should be able to gang tackle and take away one player. Miami and A&M both had multiple players where you couldn't really key on anybody in particular. So this feels like an offense that's going to test Notre Dame more than Boise State did last week. I think they have a functional center, which helps. But I don't I also think that the defense is not nearly good enough. And I think there's a natural correction coming from CJ Carr after last week, which is also terrible news for NC State. So it feels like an over type of game to me.
And while it's not his first year either on staff or as an offensive coordinator, Kurt Roper is in his first year as coordinating the NC State offense. I knew Kurt when he was at Tennessee. He's coordinated offenses at Florida and South Carolina previously, as well as I think Duke. Very much a David Cutcliffe type of offense he wants to deploy, and David Cutcliffe is probably his closest coaching mentor.
And I mean, the situation on the defensive side of the ball for NC State is accelerated by the fact that their defensive coordinator, DJ Elliott, his daughter passed away the day before the Virginia Tech game a couple weeks ago. I can't even comprehend what in the world he's dealing with and how that's impacting the team. He's new to the equation there, so I don't know about the relationship with the players, but you would think that would be a motivating factor. But when you're short on quality defensive players, you're short on quality defensive players. As it relates to Smothers, that's twice now that Marcus Freeman has talked about his contact balance, and we've seen this on film. There's no doubt about that. Spin moves, man. This dude is spinning all game. We talked about Jeremiah Love doing that a little bit more. As long as it's used efficiently, and as long as you come out of that spin move in balance and can turn it upfield, it's effective. He's listed only at 185. He definitely plays stronger than that. He's a good back. Notre Dame has to play fast. They have to tackle well, which, as Pete said, they're trending in the right direction there. But he can be a handful, and Bailey's like fourth in the country in completion percentage. Yeah. He's very, very accurate. He kind of throws sidearm, kind of slings it, but he's right on target. We talked about, and again, Marcus Freeman brought up about running through the B gap. That was something that concerned Notre Dame early in the season, and then they faced Taylon Green from Arkansas, who wanted to get to the edge. So it was a little bit different situation. But I wouldn't say that he doesn't want to run, but I would say that he wants to pass. But he also understands that, okay, it's not there and it's time to go. And he's 6'6". He's running through B gaps and he can get upfield pretty quickly, just like Green did on the outside.
Well, he wants to extend plays, and he's good at it, and that's what you're worried about as an actual defensive coordinator, the guy that can extend plays and make you pay because he does that. A note on Smothers for Notre Dame fans, just kind of looking for sake of comparison. One of the better stats for Pro Football Focus is definitely missed tackles force, because I think we can all look at it and be pretty close to saying that's a missed tackle force, unlike Pete Sampson's favorite pressure, where you can just kind of look at a guy and someone gets 7 pressures. But Hollywood Smothers, 32 missed tackles forced in 100 carries. Love and Price combined, 35 and 130. That's pretty good. Hollywood Smothers, fourth in the nation with 20 10-yard gains. By the way, Taylon Green is either second or third. Nation's best 5 40-yard gains. If you're wondering, Jeremiah Love has 0 40-yard gains. He has 5. Obviously, you got to throw in Campbell. Notre Dame does not have a Campbell on there. But you're making that many guys miss. That's pretty impressive. And the good news is for Notre Dame, they would have missed a lot of tackles if this was game 1 and Hollywood Smothers was playing for Miami's offensive line, but it's not the exact same situation.
I think the majority of it is out of spin moves. It's really, really effective. That's always something as an old sports writer. It's like, stop spinning. Well, the game's changed. And when they're as athletic and great as they are, it works really, really well for Hollywood Smothers.
That's got to be really old. I never knew that stop spinning was a thing.
Okay. Well, because you're turning your back to the defender. You're leaving yourself a little bit more vulnerable. You're exposing the football on all sides as opposed to just one side. That would be something that Holtz would get pissed about.
Unless Ricky Waters did it. And it looked
well,
beautiful.
No, it was specifically Ricky Waters that made it bad.
Because Ricky unveiled that with the 49ers. Like, he must have been a breath of fresh air going somewhere to let him spin, because he almost made the Hall of Fame by spinning. So, guys, any last thoughts on NC State, Hollywood Smothers, and an offense that, Pete, that's the best point. They're going to be tested more than they were Boise State. Boise State, for all the whatever that horrible words of grit and moxie that kept coming across that broadcast, they did not have the pieces NC State has.
Boise State was all intangibles. NC State has some tangibles. So I think that's it's a different kind of test. Like NC State will punish Notre Dame if they blow a coverage or certainly miss a tackle. Maddox Madsen could make you miss a tackle, but he was still 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage when he did it. I think it's just a different kind of test. I'm really intrigued by it. It's I think last week I was like, somebody asked like, has the defense turned the corner? And I was like, yeah, Boise State's kind of the tiebreaker for me. If I could just kick the can down a week, I feel like this is maybe more of an accurate tiebreaker, just because I think I maybe overestimated Boise State's offensive line against Notre Dame's defensive front.
So you want a tiebreaker for your tiebreaker is what I'm
I think I want a tiebreaker.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I mean, there's a lot of wild card teams that get in. They don't all deserve it.
Soon we're going to be. I'm just going to ask for continuing 2-point conversions.
Yes.
The whole turn the corner stuff. I mean, a lot of that is dictated by the opponent, and that's why I say, I think we all understand Notre Dame's offense. It's well balanced. It can do a lot of good things. They've been doing it against bad defenses. That's fact. On the other side, the defense, which everybody was very worried about, has been doing some good things against good offenses. So check, a couple extra check marks for doing that. For what it's worth, that doesn't mean that's how it's going to play out. But the whole turn the corner thing, and it's a legitimate question, I understand. But a lot of times that corner is dictated by who you're playing that week.
Yeah. Segment 1 of Irish Illustrated Insider was brought to you by Signature Pro Apparel, launching its debut Ragib Rocket Ismail collection, an officially licensed product of the University of Notre Dame. Founded by Notre Dame football and NFL alum Lance Legree, Signature Pro connects college sports legends to modern day with timeless polos, quarter zips, and rugby shirts. The debut collection honors Rocket Ismail, featuring the 1990 Heisman runner-up Signature as the main logo, so you can wear your Irish pride past and present. Pre-orders open again next week at signaturepro.com, alongside the premiere of a short feature film celebrating Rocket's legacy. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of Notre Dame history. We'll be back with segment 2, Burning Up the Boards. With football season in full swing, I've been looking to find the best deal on Notre Dame tickets, both for family and friends, but also as a memorable gift idea. That's why I want to offer the sponsor of today's segment 2, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. Whether you're an Irish fan looking for a ticket to the mid-October clash with USC or any of college football's season-defining matchups down the road, SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. Look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use Irish10, that's all capital letters of the number 10, for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. 10% off any tickets with promo code Irish10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek. First question from Fighting Irish Lover 7, and he is telling me and Pete Sampson how we can answer questions, but Pete, we're going to read it anyway. With regards to the pass game, what has been the biggest upgrade? Is it CJ Carr as the quarterback or the influx of talent in the wide receiver room? I know that Carr has been incredible, but guys like Hartman seem to have nothing close to this level of consistent production. P.S. I know the answer is both, but don't let O'Malley and Sampson get away with that like they always do.
Go for it, Pete.
Yeah, I mean it's a great question, and I'm trying to resist the temptation to answer how I normally would. I think it's Carr. I like the receivers a lot. I think I agree with Marcus Freeman that this is the best group of receivers that he's had since he's been here. But I think it's also the best quarterback that he's had since he's been here. In terms of just like the ability to kind of do everything. I just like the pieces for this offense 1 through 11 are so much better top to bottom than I think what he's had in the past. So maybe the answer, how about this? The answer is not both. It's all of the above.
That's what I was going to say, Pete, that it's all encompassing because CJ Carr makes the wide receivers better. There's no doubt about that. He puts a football right on their hands. It's a very catchable ball, but they're open too. So they're obviously doing something very positive. You have the experience of Fields and Pauling. You have the emergence. You have a healthy Jordan Faison and and a clear path for Eli Raridan to catch passes. Jeremiah Love is now a more accomplished receiver, having worked on it for an extra year. So it's not both. It's all of the above. There's a lot of real positive things. CJ Carr's getting time to throw the football. There's a lot of positive things that are all contributing to this, and it's fun to watch. Tim, you mentioned earlier in segment one about the 20-yard passes. That's been missing from Notre Dame's offense.
It's Clausen.
Since Clausen.
Yeah, no, seriously. Exactly. I think it's because Kaiser was deep to Fuller and he could run. I guess Claypool, but Book wasn't a 20-yard thrower. That was no, it's been that, and it's fun to watch. I'm glad you brought that up, Tim, because I keep harping on 20-yard passes. People are like, why do you and Sampson care about 15 to 25 yards? Because they just don't throw those routes. It's like that is what stresses a D when you can get anybody anywhere. Most quarterbacks can find a way to throw deep to a really fast guy once in a while, but when you're hitting those routes, you're a legit passer. And not to pile on, but people might be thinking about CJ Carr being a first round or second round pick someday soon, and Sam Hartman was not that. So he is a better passer than Sam Hartman.
Yeah, for me, I'm yes, the wide receiver room is upgraded, but I'm pretty emphatic that the difference is CJ Carr, and I've tried to talk about it a good bit. It's the way he layers the football. He's already making NFL throws, and a lot of quarterbacks can throw a deep ball. But what CJ Carr does between levels of the defense, the way he's finding guys on those 18-yard, 22-yard throws that you have to get over the linebacker or the nickelback and in front of the safety or the DB, he's doing some elite stuff there. So for me, it's not only the velocity that he has on his throws and his accuracy, but it's his ability to fit it into those kinds of windows that are what pro scouts are looking at. Is, again, like Sam Hartman could throw a deep ball better than Riley Leonard or better than Ian Book, but he didn't have the world's strongest arm by any means. Like CJ Carr has elite arm strength, elite velo, and elite accuracy, and his football IQ, I would contend, is really freaking elite. I think his football IQ, in addition to his physical traits, are real separators.
I think it's all of that, and it's timing. It's like the sideline pass in front of the Arkansas, sideline. Mm-hmm. He knew he had to get rid of that quicker. He muscles up a little bit more. He never really looks like he has to, like, really, really muscle up.
Right.
Like Marcel Reed does. You can see him doing that, but he has such a great feel for the timing of it that there's a mechanism in his head that distinguishes between getting rid of the ball now or getting rid of the ball now, and he does that.
Yeah, he throws different pitches, but you never can tell it by his delivery. Like, he can throw a changeup if he needs to, but his fastball doesn't look like he's torquing his body into the ground, and I think that's pretty unique for him.
Before I get the next question, Fields is better than Collins. Faison is better than Faison. Pauling is better than regular season Greathouse. Probably Greathouse now is better than Chris Mitchell or Jaden Harrison was last year's receiver. He does have better receivers too. He does have better receivers too.
It's a great way of putting it.
Offensive line is better than last year's offensive line.
Yeah, that's for sure. Next question is from Manatee. Is Jadarian Price a better running back right now than Jeremiah Love? I included this because he was not the only person to ask.
No. Moving on.
I say no. I say no emphatically, but I'll say the last thing for me on this. Jadarian Price or Jordan Faison is the most improved offensive player on the team.
Faison.
Yeah, well, to answer the question, I would agree with no, but and it's a recency bias type question, and I get that, and he's playing great. Take nothing away from him, but it's the diversity of Jeremiah Love's game. It's all the components. Yeah, all the components of his game, the improved pass receiving, the different ways that he avoids being tackled. I've talked about this before. He knows when to dive forward and get the extra 3. He knows when to spin. We even talked about with him the other day, and it was mentioned by Jaywan Sider about, he practices. We'll see something at a game, and us observers will say, wow, that was, really creative. Yeah, it's creative. It's also something that he's seen on film. He recognizes what defensive players, most of the time, like a guy on the edge, he knows a corner. He knows how that guy might tackle him. His game is so vast. All the credit in the world to Jadarian Price, and man, it's a joy watching him play. But uh, Jeremiah Love's a first round draft choice, and Jadarian Price is not going to be a first round draft choice.
Yeah, yeah. Price is a next level running back, but also I would note that this year everyone now knows Jeremiah Love, and he's a focal point of every opposing defense. So Price has improved. He's really good. He's going to play at the next level, but defenses aren't scheming around him, and defenses are
Right.
scheming around Jeremiah Love. And credit to Jadarian Price for taking advantage of that.
Next question, I think we're going to throw this one to JB from Formica Tim 23. Unless you guys think that's Formica Tim 23. We have bad names actually on this one so far. Can you explain how the cap will work starting next year? Is the 20.5 million all that can be paid to players, or can money still flow from collectives and other opportunities? Is there really a cap? Is it really 20.5?
There is really a cap. It's a cap on how much a school can maximum revenue share, and that cap is 20.5 million. Most football programs at the top end are getting 18-ish million from that because again, when this was adopted, the House settlement was agreed to, the 20.5 million has to include new scholarship ads. So we just reported on this pod either last week or week before 29 new scholarships across Notre Dame athletics. That comes out of the 20.5 million. So again, you're talking about most schools at most get about 18 to 19 million, depending on how much new revenue money they've spent on expanded scholarships. That's the cap from the school standpoint. That does not impact NIL. So in that regard, there's not a real cap. Jeremiah Love's New Balance deal is a true national New Balance deal that has no bearing whatsoever on what Notre Dame pays Jeremiah Love or what Notre Dame has to pay every other player on its roster, approximately 94 other scholarship athletes, because Notre Dame's right at about 95 players on scholarship. Another example, because you told me this question was coming to you, so I tried to do research yesterday. One other quick thing I would note in pointing out that this is going to change yet again in January overall is I talked to multiple agents yesterday who informed me my guys who signed 1 year deals this year signed deals that paid them the first 6 months of the year, so through June, came from respective schools' collectives. From July through the end of this year, they're paid from the schools via revenue share. So they might have gotten $500,000 guaranteed, and the first 300,000 might have come from the collective through June. The final 200,000 comes out of the rev share through the end of the year. And then if they have an eligibility remaining, they'll renegotiate in January and go from there. There was another example of like one school putting together a $300,000 autograph signing, but it was through the collective and through an NIL. So that $300,000 that was going to 6 players counts nothing against what that
Oh, that's great.
school was utilizing in rev share. So there's loopholes, I think, is what this person really wanted to know. 20.5 million is the maximum number that a school can officially pay. And schools are officially paying most often through the Teamworks app, and it's all digital payments. These dudes quite literally get paid, and they know the second that they get paid because they get a notification on their phone through Teamworks. There's another app or two out there, another program or two that schools are using. None of them as ubiquitous as Teamworks, which every school in college football uses for its communication and schedules and things like that, and have since added on the ability to pay student athletes for it. So that's the best way I know how to explain it to you. Again, I was told point blank by 2 different agents yesterday that most schools at the FBS level in power conferences are hovering around 13 to 15 million in revenue share distribution. That's the mean number. That's the most common. Again, they can go up to whatever the number is to 20.5 million or below, whatever they want to distribute. But he point blank told me, and this agent has approximately 3 dozen guys that he reps at the Power Four level. And then another agent told me the same thing. Also, we had a question on the board, I think maybe last week, about multi-year deals. Multi-year deals are becoming more and more common. There has yet to be a single multi-year deal issued at Notre Dame. I was told by an agent who has about 8 to 10 Notre Dame players that he reps, and I was told by people on campus as well.
What a boon for agents. Now they have, I mean, for years it was just NFL professional players. Now you've got all these clients that are working their way to the NFL.
Yeah, former Notre Dame DPP and head of recruiting Dave Poloquin is now with Athletes First, and he's heading up both their collegiate and high school division of identifying talent.
Like Dave a lot. We have a question from BWAC29. The Irish are averaging 40.3 points per game. When, if ever, have the Irish scored this much? And taking into account the evolution of the game, would this be the best offense the Irish have ever put together if sustained through the rest of the season?
They've never averaged 40 points a game. They were going to do it in 2017, and then Miami struck. It's not a good moment because they were averaging 40, and that was my preseason prediction. Tim Priester, they were going to average 40, and then Miami held them to 8, and that ruined everything. And then actually everybody started holding them down, so it really destroyed things. But they were really rolling there. Yeah, because Notre Dame modern era is, I think, the 2019 team that scored about 121 points against Bowling Green and New Mexico. So that kind of skews your scoring average. But Pete, do they stay at 40 with this schedule?
I think that they will. Yeah, I think they're gonna. They may cruise through 40. So yeah, this is the best. It seems like it's going to be the best offense that I've ever seen for Notre Dame.
At Notre Dame, because
it's like 1 through 11. There aren't holes on this offensive roster in a way that they're always like you're putting out a blocking receiver or two. Like that's not happening anymore.
They block well, but they catch passes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. They block, but they also catch because their position is called the word receiver is in the position. So they do a really good job of that too.
JB, what you got?
I agree. I think they'll stay at around that 40 number, 41, somewhere in there. I think they'll finish probably between 38 and 41 on the year, but I like them at that 40 number. I was just going to say, look, you have a legit bona fide first round talent at running back. You have a legit, potentially bona fide first round pick at quarterback, which you guys know better than me. It's, I guess, Jimmy Clausen, or was he second round?
He was second round.
Yeah,
Quinn.
Brady Quinn would be the last first round quarterback. Malachi Fields isn't going to be a first round guy, but he is a true NFL receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Eli Raridan will be a true NFL player. And then you have some guys on your offensive line that you expect to be NFL draft picks as well. So you've got Denbrock in year 2 where he's really good. He's got a boatload of weapons, and you've got a bunch of truly NFL players to spread the ball around to.
If you look at the remaining 7 opponents, Pittsburgh's a team that probably is going to hold them under 40, has a really good chance. Both Navy and Pittsburgh are 37th in the country in points given up, but you can say that about Navy, and then Notre Dame hangs 52 on them. So
it's about possessions versus Navy. Yeah, Notre Dame will
well,
score.
That's true. Yeah. So then you look at USC 65th, NC State 77th, and then if you're looking for 150 points to be scored in 3 games total, Stanford 104th, Syracuse 110th, BC 119th. So you can probably count on about 140 points in those 3 games right there. So that will help you compensate for maybe what you can't score against somebody like Pittsburgh.
From a different. Oh, go ahead, JB.
Just real quickly, I was going to say, Pitt held down Boston College last week, which had scored some points, but Pitt gave up a combined 65 points to Louisville and a really, really middling to below middling West Virginia team. Those are the two best teams that Pittsburgh has played. They lost both those games, and they gave up a lot of points in the process.
They played Duquesne. They
Mark Stevenson.
Duquesne's in, of course, in the city of Pittsburgh. They haven't played them in like 70 years or something. And they played
Duquesne in Central Michigan, and then had the backyard brawl at Virginia. And coincidentally, they blew double-digit leads in both those losses as well. We'll learn more about the Pitt defense this weekend against Florida State, but as I'd said previously, I don't think Florida State is all that good, but I do think they'll score on Pitt.
Yeah, if you guys, I know you can name one of them, but can you name the three teams on Notre Dame's schedule that are pretty close to Notre Dame in points per game? You should all be able to name one.
NC State, USC, and Navy.
USC averages 48.4 a game, third in the nation. Navy averages 37.3, 25th. And Pittsburgh averages 41 points per game. So maybe Notre Dame and Pitt could get in a high scoring affair for the, it was high scoring last time Notre Dame was there, but it was only for one of the teams. Scored a lot of points. The other one had three.
And Pitt did just make a switch to a true freshman quarterback.
Right, he did he did a heck of a
responds on the road.
This is a double question from Canadian Invasion. Are there any whispers of midseason portal announcements? He wonders if it'll be under or over 0.5. And EastX93 says, understanding the recent injury, what is the challenge with getting Greathouse more involved, assuming he's back in the fray? It appears Pauling and Faison have passed him. Is it simply a case of not getting open? Is he a risk to hit the portal at some point? The guys that hit the portal, I'm missing one. So you guys try to think outside the box. In the midseason thing were Lawrence Keys, Joe Wilkins, Jacob Lacey, Michael Young, Jaden Mickey. Pete pointed out Jameer Smith, though that might have been prior to the I'm jumping in the portal midseason thing.
Right.
I'm missing another decent player. I don't know who it is, but usually one happens is my point. I don't think one will announce officially this year. Actually.
Yeah, we've talked about Greathouse. He caught 42 passes last year, which really, like in retrospect, well, he had 29 receptions through the first 14 games. Yeah, so he was averaging 2 catches per game, and then he went crazy against Penn State and Ohio State. So who is Jaden Greathouse? Is he? And now he's not catching passes now, and it does. Those guys are more favored targets. So, like
he has 8 targets.
So is that on CJ Carr or I don't think so. I'm not saying Jaden Greathouse can't be a good receiver, and JB, you're absolutely right. I mean, or maybe it was Pete to say, I mean, you would like to see him on the roster in 2026
yes.
where he can be that guy. But his career up to this point is he has not been targeted a lot. Is that the quarterback's fault or is that Jaden Greathouse?
I mean, we just talked about how this is probably the best offense of the last 25 years. So, like, whether he's targeted or not, like, I kind of don't care.
Well, I'm being rhetorical.
But for 2026, yeah, it matters for 26.
Yeah, it matters for him.
Yeah, I mean, Greathouse is, I don't know, it's kind of a conundrum to me. I don't really understand this one.
Tremendous catch against Arkansas, man.
I remember talking to Deb Brock before last season about the receiver room, and I was like, seems like you just got a bunch of number 2s. And he's like, yeah, you're probably right, except for Greathouse. He was like, Greathouse has got a chance to be a number 1.
All right. Well, that's a significant statement.
This was like 15 months ago, though. But then he did it against Ohio State and Penn State. So I think it's like, that's the most maddening part. Probably for Jaden Greathouse as well. I'm sure. And Freeman talks about like the ball doesn't always find you as a receiver. You got to be unselfish, team player, yada, yada. Like it's a lot easier said than done. So if I was Greathouse, I would also be kind of ticked off about the way the season has gone. And I don't think he forgot how to run routes or forgot how to spin out of a tackle from Caleb Downs.
Right.
I feel like Jaden Greathouse probably has earned a little bit of the right to be ticked off if he was. I'm not saying that he is, but if he was, I think that's understandable.
Yeah, I just want to. I mean, I'm probably being a little too harsh here. I'm just saying. I mean, look at the numbers. Look at what is happening on the field. And but again, for me, it always comes back to I don't give a damn who they throw the football to. If somebody's open, throw it to him, and that's what CJ Carr is doing. But Jaden Greathouse, I want him to stay in the program. He can be an integral part of what they do, if not this year, certainly next year. But the stats are the stats, and the targets are the targets.
It's fair, though, because as Pete pointed out with Caleb Downs, no one on Ohio State, I believe, has missed a tackle since Jaden Greathouse made that tackle happen because they are incredible on defense. Holy smokes.
They lost like 8 starters, 9
and
starters,
their
What?
their
And their
Archangel
coordinator.
defensive coordinator. But he had a rough week. I don't know if you guys watched that game on Saturday. It was not a good day for him.
He's had 2 bad weeks.
I only saw the one against UCLA. They lost the
So
game.
any other the original question, Tim? Any other?
I just
other
don't
guys
think
at
you'll
this
hear an
point?
announcement this year. I think it would have happened already. Doesn't mean you're not going to transfer. As Pete has said about some guys that played 5 games, they'll announce a different day. It just won't be during their. They just won't redshirt. That's what it comes down to. I mean,
I think we're to the point. If guys who are leaving as grad transfers, it's the disgruntled undergrad transfer.
yes, yeah, that's all that's really.
It's like I'm just going to mention Brendan Vernon. Like I would think that Brendan Vernon after this year would be like, I want to play. I got to go somewhere else to do it. He's not going to announce that right now.
Right.
It's like.
Yeah, sorry, Pete. I was just going to note because that jarred my feeble brain that with the new changes to the transfer portal window this week, the NCAA also changed grad transfers also cannot enter the portal now until January. So that element is gone. Like grad transfers.
So they
wow.
used to be able to enter it any day of the week whenever they
Correct.
wanted.
Correct.
Okay, interesting.
And you don't have to now. Like guys that announce usually lost a spot. I mean, the Great House would fall into this category, but guys like Mickey found out they weren't going to play over the guy they thought they were going to play over, and that was it. And Marcus doesn't say stick around. He says go be a student and enjoy your life.
Is that what he says?
He does. Go be a student, enjoy your life. He let it. He was in the stands. I'll never forget seeing Jaden Mickey in the stands for the Louisville game right after he went the portal. I was like, what a world we live in here. That's good for him though. He was cheering on his teammates, friends. From Baba Ganoush, hopefully it's just an anomaly, but it doesn't seem like ND's defense has recorded many run stuffs. What do you attribute the small number of TFLs on run plays so far? And he's right about TFLs because Notre Dame is indeed 134th. 134th in tackles for loss. Guys, what do you attribute it to before I get into the stuffs?
Yeah, I was going to say you're the king of the stuffs here.
I went there. I had them all here.
Their defensive tackles just aren't that good.
Well, we got in trouble last time when we were asked a question. We said Mills and Cross, but the answer to this is Mills and Cross.
Both. It was both.
Yes, it's both.
Yeah, they don't have a dominant. And I'm not saying Mills and Cross were dominant, but like guys that could just whip you 1-on-1 on 1st and 10, and then they're like, oh crap, you just hit me in the backfield again. Like they just don't have guys like that right now. So yeah, that's kind of where that comes from. I think they're okay on 3rd down. I could be totally wrong about this, but I think how many times is it 2nd and 12 for the opponent?
It is not very often. 2nd and 12.
According to these stats, not very often. I would now. Were you not surprised when I think one of our subscribers brought it up? I didn't see it. I hadn't seen it yet because I'm going through all the NC State stuff in the beginning of the week. Having watched it, I'm not saying, wow, that's a real acute problem just from the eye test. But then you see the stats, and clearly it is.
I want to get to JB here because I think JB is going to use a famous line about what kind of defensive tackle Notre Dame might need in recruiting situations. Yeah, I see a smile on his face. But here are the stuffs, and this is only mildly skewed. I didn't think about it until I finished the project, and I decided not to go back and do it again. I included pass stuffs because I think when you throw the ball horizontally and Christian Gray makes a tackle for a 1-yard gain, I'm just counting it on like a screen play like that. It's the extension of the running game for Brian Kelly's sake. Only 11 versus Miami in about 36 opportunities, 13 against A&M and 32 chances. These are rushes, basically. 16 against Purdue and 26. That's because Purdue's no good and they can't block Notre Dame. 11 versus Arkansas and about 29 rushes. 15 against Boise and about 30 rushes. So they're trending better in their stuffs. Man. It's an uptick. There aren't tackles for loss. Those are stuffs. So guys are gaining 2 yards to Pete Sampson's point. 2nd and 8 is indeed much different if you're behind the chains than 2nd and 12.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, again, there's no interior draft picks on Notre Dame's defensive line right now. Rubio is really strong and can more or less hold the point of attack, whereas Riley Mills and Howard Cross got to a point where they were both strong and could knife through the point of attack. And Notre Dame doesn't have that right now. Onye is improving, and again, he's getting better at holding up the point of attack. But even though Pete's laughing, I'm not sure what at. Maybe it's me.
I was going to make a Torian Jones, Jay Billis reference. Like Notre Dame has a bunch of Torian Jones as a defensive tackle right now. They're good.
They're good. He plays defensive tackle. It's fine. He plays defensive tackle.
Didn't expect a hoops analogy in that situation, Pete.
Yeah, remember when I just talked about all that NFL personnel on the Irish offense? Yeah, not all that NFL personnel on the Irish interior D-line.
That's a good point.
We have a question from Michigan's a Joke. Rank these in level of importance for the improvements on the defense. I will list them in the order that they were typed. Return of Leonard Moore, defensive ends playing better, young defensive backs gaining more experience, and defense as a whole more comfortable with Chris Ash.
I have my number one for sure.
Leonard Moore's number one.
Pete always says Leonard Moore is number one.
You guys can order the rest of them however you want, but Leonard Moore's number one.
Well, but he didn't play against Arkansas.
He's still number one.
I understand. I understand. But
did I stutter?
No. About the improvement that we've seen. Part of that improvement was Arkansas, and he didn't play.
Number two would be the defense
taken,
with getting time with Chris Ash. For me, is number two. Getting time with Chris Ash is number two.
I was actually going to go young defensive backs gaining more experience as number two because that's the Tay Johnson
element.
Yeah, return of Leonard Moore one, Tay Johnson understanding what he's doing more two.
Yeah, and
I can understand how number Ash fits into that too.
Yeah, and I would contend it's Tay Johnson, Dallas Golden, and Mark Zachary because especially with Devontae Smith out again this weekend, you need those guys to continue showing improvement. So, yeah, to me, I mean, yeah, does a first round pick help your defense? Is his return impactful? That's probably.
Yeah, I mean, do you think the defensive tackle rotation would be better with Bryant Young?
It was like, Pete and Tim, did you notice when you were watching that Boise State game, you never thought to yourself, man, this rotation running back's really wearing down Notre Dame.
Okay. So I'll go Moore 1, young DBs 2, comfortability with Ash 3, and ends 4.
All right. What's your order, Tim?
I am comfortability with Ash 2. I mean, because we're including Tate Johnson, he can't be 4, so that's 3. I really think Botello played his best game. I think Traore's really surging now as well. Here's the game where we can say, all right, our Botello, Traore, I have faith in the rest of the way will continue to play well. Is Botello going to continue to play well? Is Bryce Young now making a move? Josh Burnham's back. If all those guys are playing well, we might have to reorder this after a few games, but you can't put Jordan Botello playing well and sniffing out screens and hitting a guy really hard, higher than Leonard Moore and Tate Johnson either.
A 5'8", 170-pound. He was just Malik Sherrod was getting destroyed by Botello. All right, just on sheer principle, I'm sorry he didn't play against Arkansas, so I've got Leonard. I do understand how good Leonard Moore is.
I don't think you do.
But,
I was going to say no. It doesn't sound like it's a Larry David. That one.
Just principle. That's a good one. Just pure principle. Okay, so to me, the young defensive backs and getting more comfortable with Ash's defense. Those are hand in hand. Those are 1-2, and then I have defensive ends playing better, which they are. And Leonard Moore, yeah, he might help. He might help moving forward.
I understand the reservation holds the car.
Yes.
Wait. So Priester, I see what you're doing here. You're marrying your coverage with your front.
I am. I am. Absolutely.
It's a vexing problem apparently in South Bend, Indiana recently.
But that Marcus Freeman says they're figuring it out, and I believe him because I've seen it.
The Unconsummated Marriage was a very fun title we had going there for 2 weeks, but it's a little better. Where are we here? Question from Otzer Pull. Before the season started, Pete Sampson posed the question, what would be the offense's get-out-of-jail-free card on 3rd or 4th and short without Riley Leonard? As successful as the offense has been, are they still searching for an answer to this question?
I believe at the end of that question, when we had it previously, I said they could run Wildcat with Jeremiah Love. But the answer to the question is no, they absolutely are still searching. I think they felt good about it at one point, what they were doing with Love. And then you had 4th and 1 against Boise State, and that kind of upsets the apple cart, so to speak. They're still searching. They've got a lot. They've answered a lot of questions on the offensive side of the ball. You can't answer all of them, and that one's unanswered right now.
Yeah, I like the doing away with the Wildcat on third and fourth and short. But then also I like the action in the throw game where they slip either Faison or Pauling out just past the sticks, flooding toward the boundary and picking it up that way. I think that's their best thing right now. I think O'Malley and Pete have talked about how much they like spreading it out on
Yeah.
third and fourth and short. And for me, right now, I like when Notre Dame does that, and those guys are so much smarter now at getting to and past the sticks. That's what I think is their best.
It's been unstoppable.
Yeah.
That play's been unstoppable.
And CJ Carr is really good at it. And if you'll remember, we saw him coaching up receivers very early in camp when they didn't run the correct route, Ty Washington.
I hate the Wildcat with the passion of 1,000 white hot suns. So
It's-
I don't understand it. I mean, it got to the point on Monday where I thought Marcus Freeman was like literally trolling us about like, well, maybe we should throw it to CJ Carr. So yeah, I love Carr in the shotgun. It can go 5 wide if you want to keep Jeremiah Love in there to run an angle route, fine. But like Carr's processing power should be the get out of jail free card. Instead, they're trying to just slam their head into a brick wall and hope that it works, and it's not working.
I
Well,
don't want to.
it would if he wasn't on the field. Tim, it would work if you. And I understand why he wants a quarterback on the field, but it's not going to be. You lose
What's
the
the reason?
advantage. Well, you're exactly right. I mean, what's the you haven't the whole idea of Wildcat is to have an extra man, but you don't because Carr doesn't want to block. Understandably so.
Yeah,
I don't want him to block either.
I don't want to block it either.
So I don't. I mean, they know a little bit more about
Not
this
about the
than we do,
Wildcat
but-
because it's not working. I will. Here's 2 things I want for short yardage. I don't want Love off the field because I do want CJ Carr on the field, getting the snap because he's really good at football, processing, throwing a quick one, throwing a deep one once in a while, handing it to Love. Love picking up the blitz to allow CJ Carr to do whatever he has to do when they bring an extra hat. I want CJ Carr to have the ball on 3rd and 1, and if he chooses Jeremiah Love gets it, that's awesome too.
I don't know if you guys saw this video that Notre Dame put out, just kind of like one of those sideline highlights where people are mic'd up and stuff. And it was Malachi Fields last week after he had like that circus catch where he's out of bounds, comes over to the sideline, he's talking to Den Brock, and he's like, throw me the back shoulder fade, throw me the back shoulder fade. Don't overthink it. I think those are like words to live by sometimes. I almost asked Marcus about that today, just like coaches overthinking stuff, because I feel like the Wildcat is overthinking it.
But Jeremiah Love on Tuesday night made it clear downstairs anyway. He loves the Wildcat. He really likes it. And so I get your point, Pete. But Jeremiah Love really likes it, and we know he's ready to throw out of it. And he said, "I'll throw an interception." I'll tell you that.
Great. Then have Will Black slip on number 45 and go out there and block in front of him.
He's also out with a concussion, by the way, Will Black, so it's not happening.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yes.
Hey, Tim,
But-
we're gonna lose JB here.
Yeah,
before his
very
prediction.
quickly, I want to say one thing about Jeremiah Love wanting to do something because he likes it. I'm going to compare him for the first time in the history of this podcast to Jerron Jones, who told me there was no way they could get rid of Mike Elston. Then they hired Mike Elko. So don't listen to players that don't know what they're talking about. All right. The final question leads to our predictions from Maltese Irish. What, if anything, worries you most about this week's game versus NC State? And then Bob Ganoush wondered if this has a trap written all over it. I think trap is gone when you lose your first 2 games.
Baba Ganoush,
I think
2 questions here.
Yeah, he had 2 questions there, Tim.
I disagree with that philosophy. Nothing personal, Baba Ganoush, with the Seinfeld reference. Notre Dame would have to, I think, be -3 minimum in the turnover. They would have to potentially not have Noah Burnett. They would have to not have Jeremiah Love or Jadarian Price or any number of people. I don't really see a scenario that if Notre Dame just plays a standard game, it doesn't win because it's just a better football team on both sides of the ball and in special teams. So I like the Irish. I don't know if I have the Irish quite covering the 23 and a half number, but I probably 41-10. 41-10. There you go.
That's a significant cover, JB, before you go. That's significant.
I know. That's what I'm going with, and that's how I'm going out.
Drop your mic on the walkout. Now we can talk about him. Okay, go ahead, guys.
Yeah. I do think it's a trap game because Notre Dame got good again. It wouldn't have been a trap game if Notre Dame had beaten Boise State 14-10. But I think Notre Dame's feeling good about itself. I think TP, you asked about momentum today. Um, it's never a trap game when you don't have momentum. And it's like right before USC still.
Yeah,
I think
that's the one.
that's probably the game that we would all like. We're going to be talking about immediately after the clock hits zero on this one. But I mean, Hollywood Smothers is a really good player, so it would take more than Hollywood Smothers for NC State to really put a charge into this. But if you pair that with maybe there's a blocked field goal return for a touchdown, maybe there's the CJ Carr's throwing a pass and it hits Emil Wagner in the helmet and pops up in the air and somebody returns it. Like, it would definitely take a non-offensive touchdown, I think, for Notre Dame to sweat this out. But the reason it's a trap game is because weird stuff like that happens. So I wouldn't just dismiss it outright.
I mean, I guess I would kind of put in the category of trap because USC's next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
General manager coming back to town, a little bit of motivation for Notre Dame. But then it's not a trap game because the offense really feels like it needs to atone for last week. So they're going to be tight and sharp. The defense continues to build.
The defense can never consider itself safe from any
No, definitely not.
Until
The whole turn,
mid-January.
I don't. The turn the corner term should not be anywhere near the defensive offices. Why is NC State any different than Arkansas? They got a better running back.
They don't. There's a mutiny going on in Arkansas.
Coach program is not falling apart.
Very true, but I think maybe the time with Dorn is coming to an end. I think that's silly. I went back. I've got a stat. It's going to be in the preview about how many teams have won 8 games or had a winning percentage of at least like 62% during a season. Dave Dorn's done it 7 out of 10 years. It was done like 10 times out of 32 years before that. Careful what you wish for. He's a victim of his own success, and success at NC State is 8 or 9 wins. So I think it would be, he's certainly not warm and fuzzy. So maybe they've had enough of him after 13 seasons, but I don't really know why are they so different than Arkansas? I realize that there's their receivers. Terrell Anderson's really good. The transfer from Noah Rogers from Ohio State has a chance to be really, really good. I'm not denying what they have, but Notre Dame is playing better defense. And the things that JB mentioned, things have to blow up for Notre Dame's offense not to have success this weekend. And I don't think that's going to be the case because they're so motivated because of the 14 to 21 points they feel like they left out in Notre Dame Stadium last Saturday.
I will say I'm a little bit leery of the defense without Devonta Smith. Like I'm not nearly as high on. Like I think Dallas Golden will be good. I'm not high on him
I
right
think
now.
I think that's fair. I mean, just a stabilizing piece with all the experience that he has, the physicality.
Yeah. The physicality is crucial there. I think. I think Dallas Golden will be better.
Somebody
late next year than Devonta Smith is now, but it's not late next. It's not late next year.
If you get if Hollywood Smothers matches up against Notre Dame nickel, that's a problem for Notre Dame.
Yeah,
he'll run over the young guys.
When was it? It was recently. Somebody mentioned about Stroman moving to nickel. I was like, they don't need to. I mean, you can't do that now. He can't just switch it midstream. But but Stroman is really more of a nickel than a
just not
in the box nickel.
No,
true.
Coverage,
well, but neither necessarily really is Smith.
Well, they got him
in comparison.
The nickel hasn't been great, by the way, when it was Hobbs and Smith.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm not predicting yet. You guys are.
I like Notre Dame 42-21. I think it was the same score I predicted last week. Got pretty close to the margin, if not the over/under. But I think the offense relatively struggling last week is probably the reason that Notre Dame will be fine. Because they're just going to outscore them. And I think if the defense is just Purdue-esque, but maybe it's not all in the first half. It's spread out over 4 games. So it's a little bit less like Marcus Freeman pounding the podium after the game. I could see that being the flow of this game. So 42-21 Notre Dame.
Yeah, I was in the 42-20 or 38-20 range. I think because NC State can score and Notre Dame's defense is not proven yet, that the game will be just enough where Marcus and Mike Denbrock are not slowing anything down. Like they might look and say, all right, it's 35-20. Let's put another one on this board, as opposed to you're up 38-10 and you win 38-17. So I'm in the 42-20 range. I just have a feeling it's going to sneak under, which that would put it over, but I'm going to stay there. I think NC State covers the 23.5. It's just a weird number. I'm never going to take that for Notre Dame to cover 23.5 against a quality, decent, everyday, middle of the road team. I did look up Dave Doran.
Breathing.
Yeah, they're living, breathing. And Dave Doran, though, on the road dog. He's only 14-22 against the spread with 5 wins in the upset world. He's just been there so long. Some of these don't even count. Like when you're a 49-point underdog to Clemson and you cover, it doesn't really matter that you covered that on the road, does it? But yeah, I think I like Notre Dame's offense. This I just got to throw out. It's because we've all had it go through now. JB had him undefeated. We all had him with 1 loss. Tim or Pete, you might have him with 2 losses. I don't know if you did season predictions. Tim's loss was Arkansas. Drew's loss was Boise, and this is mine. This was my loss. Was 5-0 Notre Dame loses the week before USC comes to town because of all the success. I don't think that's happening anymore.
Thank you.
Just want to point that out. But we all had that. That would be terrible because it would ruin a whole week of fun coverage if Notre Dame loses this game before the USC.
Oh,
God. It's like worst case scenario. Don't lose this game too.
Yeah, I don't ever like to say Notre Dame can't lose, but the Notre Dame offense against this defense, and it's not all NC
really
State's
weird.
fault. When you say a secondary has been decimated, this secondary has been absolutely decimated by injuries, preseason and in season. They've got a bunch of freshmen running around there they're going to be defending CJ Carr throwing the football.
Yeah, that's why I put 42 instead of 38.
And I don't know if I said this Monday or not, but their defensive tackles are so slow that they're not going to actually see Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price run by them. They may feel the breeze or hear them, but they're so slow in reacting that they won't actually spot them as they go by.
They're too slow to rotate, even, Tim. Pretty sure maybe you can't even rotate out of there.
It's like, takes me back to Tim's question about the Arkansas 365-pound defensive tackle. And we're like, I don't know, we'll just run around them. Yeah.
If it was a problem, they wouldn't give up 60 all the time, so that would be an issue. That is it for this edition of Irish Illustrated Insider. That was fun again. I have late word from our producer, Jack Freeman. Irish Illustrated Insider offering 60% off a yearly VIP membership to irishillustrated.com. Use coupon, I can mess up our own ad, coupon code IRISH60. The offer ends on October 15th. I cannot recall for the life of me a famous number 60 on Notre Dame to help you remember it, but it's 60% off. It's a bad number. It's a bad football number. 60% off Irish 60 at irishillustrated.com.
Man,
Priester's trying. Pete's thinking he might be on.
Bob Kuchenberg. I don't think that's right. George Gedeke. I don't think that's right.
Rocket. We'll just say Rocket War 60. You guys go with Irish 60 and you're all set. No, it's not a great football number. For Pete Sampson of The Athletic, Tim Priester of Irish Illustrated, I am Tim O'Malley. Thank you for watching and listening. Irish Illustrated Insider.